and then we can think what will happen. So whenever we will create an object of class 2 obj1, at that time it will jump to this constructor. Here it will find out which constructor of the base class should be executed. We have not written anything over here, so it will jump to the default constructor. It will jump over here, it will execute this, will come back and will execute this. So the output will be in 1 and in 2 for the first statement, for the first object, and for the second object. Again, here it will jump to this constructor. Here we have not mentioned which constructor of the base class should be called and executed. So it will jump to the default. Whenever we have not mentioned, it will go for the default. So it will print in 1, then it will come back and will execute this. Let us see it. Fine. In 1, in 2, in 1, in 2 integer x. Now our objective is to move from here to here, and then we want to call the base class integer constructor. So in short, we want to execute this constructor and then this constructor. So that's the basically objective of the program. So when you will write down like this, object of 2 has been created with argument integer, it will jump over here. It will search for the first statement. If the first statement is a super, then it will refer the base class constructor. We have mentioned super x, so it will jump to here and it will execute this statement. And then it will come back and then it will execute remaining portion of this particular constructor. So the output will be in integer 1's x and in 2's integer x. Fine. Okay. Now let us move to the next program. This super must be the first main statement. If I will put the super over here, it will give a compile time error. You cannot put the super over here. If we can put the super over here, then what it will do is it will execute this entire constructor and then it will execute this constructor. But whenever we will create an object of a derived class, the constructor of the base class should be executed first and then the constructor of the derived class should be executed second. So that rule will not follow. So that's why the super must be the first statement. Now next, one more example of a super. We have a three constructor over here. Then we have a two constructors and we are calling a two with a two value. So it will jump over here. And then we are calling a base class constructor with integer argument. So that's this program is. Let us see the output of this program. Fine. Okay, now let us move to the next program. Method overriding. Method overriding means in a base class and derived class we have a same name function. Here we have an inheritance. So again, if the derived class has a function which is the same name as with a base class, then it is known as a method overriding. Overriding is something like a horse riding. So here in a main we are creating the object of class 2 and then we are calling the fun function. So the fun function of class 2 will be called and executed. Let us check it. Fine. So this is method overriding. Use of the super in method overriding. Here we have a class 1. Here we have a class 2. We have a fun. Inside the fun we have a super dot fun. We are calling the base class fun method. So whenever we will call obj1.fun, it will jump over here, and from here it will jump to this fun function, and then will come back over here. So the output will be in one fun function and in two fun function. Let us check it. Polymorphism. Polymorphism means one thing many forms. Let us see the example. We have a class 1 with a fun function. We have a class 2 extends 1 with a fun function and the fun1 function. Now here we have a class 1's object obj1. We have a class 2's object obj2, and then obj1 equal to obj2. This is possible. Means the base class object can point to the derived class object. This says that the base class object, this is obj1 is a base class object, is pointing to the derived class object. This is possible. And then whenever we say obj1.fun, at that time, what is the say obj1 is pointing? That's a class 2 obj2's object. So that obj2 means 2's fun function will be executed. See over here. Let us check it. This 2's function is executed. Here, if you will write obj1 dot fun1, it will give an error because obj1 is pointing to the obj2. This obj1 has a visibility which is limited. It can access only basically fun function which is override over here in a class 2. If you have added a something new function in a class 2, then this obj1 cannot able to access. So let us check it. See the error. Sorry, it is not saved. Let us save this. Fine, we are getting the error. Cannot find symbol obj1.11.